In this video, we take a short trip out to where I grew up, near Leonora in the goldfields of Western Australia. This trip was all about testing out the new vehicle and giving Gecko a taste of his travelling future.
I think there's another universe.
We struggled to find the time to get our modifications done, but we did remove the old stove that wasn't working from the T-van, and we have replaced it with a companion 2-burner freestanding unit. The ute took a lot more work. Roof rack, awnings, solar panels, water tank, canopy doors and catches, the list seemed endless. We even replaced our 80-litre Engel with a Dometic as we found the big fridge freezer combo had been using too much power when we camped up for a few days in hot conditions. Gecko's box was finished off with a little weather shield in case of heavy rains. A massive amount of auto-electrical work was needed and made even more fun by the amount of dust this poor car has been subjected to in its previous life. Gecko finds the canopy too high to jump into, so he's been practicing using a ladder to climb up into his box. But finally, we had enough done to get on the road. But it's not finished.
And maybe in that other universe.
We wandered north using small back roads we hadn't travelled before. We stopped to check out the Meckering fault line, which was a tad underwhelming and in no way reflects the massive upheaval that had occurred at the time. The burgers at the Meckering Roadhouse were fabulous though. Next stop was Dowran, where Gecko met Rusty. We camped at a parking bay near the Cleary siding for our first night, and we were joined by Margot with her caravan, and later a truck driver who was so happy to be able to stand next to our fire while eating his dinner. Day 2 saw us in Payne's Find for steak burgers as our late breakfast. We sat in the beer garden and watched the downpour while we ate. We decided to head up the bitumen to Mount Magnet and across to Sandstone, instead of the gravel back road in case they'd had more rain than we knew about. We also caught up with my parents and they had arranged for us to be able to camp on some private property for a couple of days. We had a fabulous drive around the property and camped in a couple of sites. The flies started to become a problem, but we managed to make Gecko a fly veil using one of our spare ones. On our second night, we watched a large storm way off in the distance. Gecko had been travelling well, although not drinking as much as we would like, so we made him soggy biscuits twice a day to keep up the hydration. He was also a bit nervous about toileting in unfamiliar areas, so we took long, slow walks early morning and late evening to avoid the flies and make it a little less stressful for him. We stopped in Malcolm for him to have a good play while waiting for my folks, who were at the Shire checking road conditions for the next part of our trip. After a couple of hours, we were headed to the area where I grew up.
I got something to say.
We spent a few days in the area and moved camp a couple of times. The flies were horrendous. So walking or just being outside in general was unbearable between sunrise and sunset. Let me say it again. The flies were horrendous. We were not sad to pack up and head south away from. We stopped for a quick play at Niagara Dam, and to compare it now full to the last time we were there, and it was pretty much empty. Once we got down into the wheat belt, the days became less fly-ridden and Gecko was able to enjoy some playtime.
Running from this girl that I know, crazy and she's out of control. Think I might be safer on the road. I gotta get off.
Come on.
We are busy prepping for our next trip in a few weeks, so I've ambushed Al to get in to give a quick rundown on how this first test went.
So we've been home a week. What worked and what didn't on this trip?
Good question, really.
Were you happy with the vehicle?
The ute run's really good. It's slow on the hill climbs and when we've got a cross breeze, but that was to be expected. We've got a little issue we've got to work out. Possibly fuel pump or injectors, but it's not causing us any grief, apart from a bit of smoke under load. The canopy worked really well. We've got to continue with our drawers and storage where we don't have a lot of storage for things. Things get put on top of one another, but we'll work on that. Just got to find some homes for stuff, so I've just making up a bracket here to mount the high lift jack so that gets out of our road. The lights and everything work really well, we're happy with them. The shower tent, shower awning, really good, quite easy to put up. It's breezy, you just need a couple of pegs to hold that in position, but that was worth it, that worked. Solar system and the fridge, we swapped out the 80 litre combi Engel because freezer had to work flat out to keep the fridge cold, so and we used a lot of battery power, so we swapped that out to a Dometic and bigger solar panels, and now we went 2 days and didn't have to start the ute, so that was a real bonus. Yeah, the little water tank on the back, it's only small, but makes life really easy when you just want to fill the kettle, water the dog, wash your hands. Possibly going to change the tap later on, but at the moment, what ain't broke you don't fix.